Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. Welcome back to another live stream. Excuse me. Let me apologize in advance. Me and the entire family were sick this entire week, pretty much. So we're still trying to get over it. We're still trying to get over the virus and all of that. So I don't sound my best. So I do apologize. But y'all are not here to hear me sound good or anything like that. We here to talk about the Chargers, and this was, I mean, from start to finish, this was the best game I believe the Chargers have played this entire season. Um, excuse me. This this is what we wanted to see pretty much all season long, and if you're just looking at it from the standpoint of a team that is getting ready to go into the playoffs, this is a team that nobody wants to face. I can guarantee you that this Charger team is dangerous. This Charger team right here is dangerous. This is something you can win with, right? This team is something you can win with. This game plan was good, defensively, offensively. There, nobody should really have anything bad to say today. Like, and that's one of the things that I've noticed. Watching the game, nobody had anything bad to say. I don't have anything bad to say. The Chargers finally scored in the third quarter. That's something that they haven't done in many weeks, right? So I really don't have a whole lot like negative to say. Um, the only thing I can really say is that the Chargers got to shore up the run defense. They really have to fix it in the first quarter, first half. And I think they have gotten better. I don't know if they just didn't take the Rams seriously. I don't know if it was like a scheme thing. You got to give Sean McVay credit. He is a smart offensive mind, but aside from that, I think they gave up 84 yards in the first quarter. But the Rams only finished with 166 total yards. So throughout the rest of the game, they gave up less than 100 yards. Obviously, you can win with that. Obviously, so that was a big thing. That was a major thing. That wasn't a small thing. They got it fixed. And you got to give them credit for that. In weeks past, normally giving up a bunch of rushing yards like that could lead to bad things happening, but they shut it down. You have to give them credit. The first quarter was not a great quarter defensively, but they came out and handled business second, third, and fourth. So you have to give them credit. Again, man, this team going into the playoffs with 1 week left, this is a team nobody wants to face. Everybody else isn't playing their best football right now. Baltimore, they have injuries at the quarterback position. Lamar Jackson is not healthy. Even if he does play next, he's not going to play tonight, but even if he does play next week, he's not going to be healthy even going into the playoffs. You worry. Cincinnati, they had a major injury on their offensive line. Their health is looking a little shaky at this point right now too, and they're not playing great, ball right now. Um, you know, Kansas City's not playing great ball right now either. They won, but to beat the Broncos by 3 points is not, nothing to write home about. They had to go to overtime to beat the Texans last week. So when you're looking at the playoff teams, right? You're looking at the playoff teams in the AFC. The Chargers look like a buzzsaw. Just the way that they're playing right now. Now, we'll things will be determined when they actually get there and who they play. But just the way that they're playing right now, they're putting things together very, very, very well, and they're putting things together in key areas that you have to, be good at in the playoffs. Third down defense was something that I talked about all season long. The Chargers have been fantastic on third down the past 4 or 5 weeks, right? Been great. They've had historic turnaround on third down, giving up 45% all the way to now giving up like was it 14 or 15% on third down. That's crazy. I've never seen a team do that, and that typically does not happen. Obviously, you get Joey Bosa back. He was on the snap count today, but I expect a lot from him going forward. He looks healthy. He looks like he is in really good shape as well too, and he looks like he has explosion. So I'm expecting a lot from this team. Um, this was a complete game, a very 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 good complete game. I had nothing bad to say about Joe Lombardi. For all the people who criticize me, for taking shots at Lombardi, if he calls a good game, I can come on here and give him credit. He called a really good game today, good enough that Justin Herbert didn't have to play the fourth quarter. So you got to give a guy credit for that, right? I do give Lombardi credit. Let me get to the super chat here. Apex Prowler, shout out to you. It's my house and I live here, Kings of LA for the season. Right, right. Even though it wasn't the battle of LA, this was like the snowball fight for LA. Well, at least on the Rams end, they're bringing snowballs to a gunfight, but you know, it is what it is. You can only play, whoever's on your schedule. You can't control their injuries or anything like that. But the Rams are not in a great position going forward. They have a lot of decisions to make, and they have a lot of veterans on their team who may or may not be back. So there's a lot of uncertainty on their part. Especially at the quarterback position. Aaron Donald, does he want to come back? They have some questions, and they don't have any draft picks, so their rebuilding process is going to take a little while. So yeah, Sean McVay might not be back as well too. So they things over there on that side are not looking all that great. But we'll see how they're able to work it out. But I would not want to be in their position. Let's see. Let's get to finally Lombardi calls the game. Kind of sad he waited till we had the playoffs locked up, right? And this was something that I said was it last week, right? These two games are super important for the Chargers, right? Not just for playoff seeding and all of that stuff, but how do you look coming out, right? Because obviously, they clinched against Indy on Monday night. They did not look great. Offense was still an issue, but you come out. Excuse me, but you come out against a Rams team, and I think the Rams are better than Indy is. I think they're much better. Obviously, at quarterback, they have better weapons. Obviously, a better head coach. So the Rams are they're more equipped to pull upsets than the Colts are, right? So my thing was, how are they going to look coming out these 2 weeks, right? Are they going to be able to play good enough football and not play down to competition? And today they passed with flying colors, right? They held the Rams to 10 points. The Chargers defense has been stepping up these past, 3 or 4 weeks. They've been giving up about 13 points a game, and they held the Rams underneath that average. So that number is going to go down again. Again, this team, the Charger team, this entire team, man, if you're another team in the AFC, they look scary. Like, this is what they can do when coaching. Everybody's on the same page. Obviously, the injured players, right? Getting players back, that means the world. But when you start putting things together, and then they start building confidence, and I think this team has built confidence. I think it started with the Miami game, and it really has built every single week. So now you're seeing a complete game. Next week, going to Denver. Again, it's going to be another great test. Denver is not a good team. We know this, right? But Denver, they showed some guts today. They played Kansas City pretty damn well, right? They only lost the game by 3 points. Their defense showed up and they played well, right? They played well enough to win the game. Obviously, they didn't win the game, but I think for the Chargers going up to Denver, right, going to Mile High, and being able to play a team who is obviously not going to play the playoff, not going to play in the playoffs, but they could, potentially play. I don't want to say they can play spoiler, but I mean, in their minds, they can probably play spoiler, right? Not officially in the standings and all of that stuff, but they feel like they could probably play spoiler if they beat the Chargers next week. But next week will be a great test on how the Chargers respond, right? If they come out and they're able to put the Broncos away, kind of the same way that they did the Rams, that will say a lot about this team going into the playoffs, and it will say a lot about who they end up playing, because if they go out and they have another performance like this next week, you're going to see a lot of the sports books. You're going to see a lot of, the analysts and all of this stuff. A lot of people are going to jump on the Charger bandwagon because they're going to have had a 6-game winning streak going into the playoffs. That's a team nobody wants to play. It doesn't matter who you have at quarterback. It doesn't matter who your coach is. It doesn't matter, what you've done all season long. There's no other team in the playoffs that wants to play a team that's on a 6-game winning streak. Not a chance. There's nobody that wants to play that team, especially a wild card team, because the Chargers are going to have to go and play wild card weekend. They don't get a week to sit at home and cool off. They get to go and start preparing right away for another game. So if you are going to run into a buzzsaw, you're going to run into a buzzsaw that's well oiled and that has just been doing this, right? They get no weeks off. They get no time, no extra time to prepare, no bye weeks. You're going to face a team who is going to come in hot, right? Come in hot, who's been playing well on defense. And then, offensively today, they put it together. They put together a pretty damn good game plan. And for me, it really wasn't about scoring a whole lot of points. It was about being aggressive offensively, right? Pushing the ball downfield, which the Chargers did. They pushed the ball downfield and then scoring in the red zone. And that's what they did. They were able to score in the red zone. What was it? Twice. And then you have Austin Eckler, Josh Kelly. Both those guys get going. The running game gets going. The Chargers ran for 192 yards. We haven't seen a rushing performance like this since early in the season. And that was against Cleveland, right? So that was a long, long time ago, ages ago, right? So this performance here, if the Chargers are able to put this together, if they're able to put together another good game on the ground against a good defense next week, Denver has a good defense. If they're able to do this against a very good defense, again, this is going to be a tough, tough team to play. There's not going to be anybody that wants to face this team. They're putting it together at the right time. So again, I don't have nothing. I have nothing bad to say. I really don't have anything bad to say. Um, I thought Joe Lombardi was good today. I thought he was good. Even from the first possession the Chargers had, uh, going deep to Mike Williams, it obviously should have been, if not a pass interference, at least a holding call on the cornerback number 2. I think it was a Hill from the Rams. That that worked. That worked. The refs just didn't call it, but that wasn't on Lombardi. So I thought the aggressiveness was there, and I liked it. I liked it. I don't know if Brandon Staley got into his ear, but the aggressiveness was there. I love what I seen from the Chargers today, and if they continue this, man, they are really really going to be. Excuse me. They're going to be a team to be reckoned with in the playoffs. So I really really cannot wait to see what they do, and I can't wait to see how they close out the season next week. Week 18, they got to take this game seriously, come out, really put the pressure on Denver, and excuse me, really force Denver to quit, right? Wave the white flags and say, hey, we're going on vacation now. So I think if they're able to do that next week, I think they're going to be, man, I mean, it really is not going to matter who they play in the playoffs. Cincy, Baltimore, Jacksonville, it's not going to matter. When a team comes together like this, in all three phases, coaching, everybody's on point, everybody's on fire. This is going to be a very this is going to be a very dangerous team. The Chargers have a legitimate shot now, and I didn't think that I would be able to say this all season long, just the way that the things have been going. The Chargers got a legitimate shot to get to the AFC title game. Um, I don't know who it will be against, but if they continue playing like this, they're going to be able to beat whoever's in front of them, in the AFC for the playoffs. There's good teams in the AFC, but none of these teams are really running away with it. Kansas City, Buffalo, Cincinnati, these teams are not all that much better than the Chargers, if at all, at this point right now, especially the way that these teams are playing. They're not playing their best football. They're making a lot of mistakes. None of these teams are all that much better than the Chargers. So I think this is going to be a very, very, very interesting playoff run. This is going to be this is going to be exciting. It really is. And for everybody who's stuck with the Chargers all season long through all the bad bullshit play, this is it's exciting for me. I love being in the position now where we can look forward and say, man, if they, do X, Y, and Z, they are going to have a chance to make a Super Bowl run. And that's where we are now. If they do X, Y, and Z for a few more games, they're going to have a legitimate shot to make a Super Bowl. So it's exciting to be a Charger fan and be able to say that. I don't like coming on here and talking negative, but I run a channel where I'm real. I call it out as I see it. I'm a fan, but I'm not a fanboy. So I can call out BS. I can call out bad play when I see it. Excuse me. Damn, COVID trying to take me out. But I can call it out if I see it. But if I see a game like this, I'm gonna come on here and say, hey, these guys look like they got it together. So they do. They look like they got it together. So give everybody credit. Give everybody credit. Give Brandon Staley credit. This game right here, it shows that they took this even after they clinched the playoff spot. This is the most encouraging thing about this. And I'm going to get to the comments here. I'm going to be responding to a lot of comments, but I wanted to get to this before I get to any of the comments. This really, really, really showed me that the Chargers are taking this seriously. They clinched the playoff spot last week. They clinched it last week in Indy. Everybody was excited about it and all of this stuff. They clinched it, but they came out and they took this week seriously. They took preparation seriously, and they came out and they were prepared to play. Right now, obviously, defense was, they gave up some runs. Right, they gave up some yards. But on third down, they were good. They were good in the first quarter, and they took it seriously. So this lets me know that they are not happy in the building with just making the playoffs, right? Us as fans, and I got into it with a lot of fans last week on Twitter because a lot of people wanted to celebrate just being in the playoffs and whatever. It's their prerogative, but as for me, I have higher expectations of this team. I have higher expectations of Justin Herbert, all the talent on this team. I have high expectations of this team. This is a legitimate Super Bowl caliber team, right? So if you have a legitimate Super Bowl caliber team, you shouldn't just be happy with making the playoffs. Making the playoffs is an expectation. Now I get the injuries, I get all of that. I understand it, but the Chargers are as healthy as they have been all season long, right? So now this is the expectation, right? We're in the playoffs, but this game right here showed that they are taking this thing seriously and they believe in themselves. They believe in themselves and they don't feel like they can just go out there and maybe win a playoff game and maybe make some noise. They feel like they're one of the best teams in the tournament, right? Which they are. But this week of preparation was big. The Chargers came out prepared. Baker Mayfield, he's had pretty good games as a Ram. He's already had 2 good games as a Ram. He's been there less than a month, right? So if this team was distracted or if they were happy or if they were resting on their laurels, they would have came out, shit the bed, right? Let Baker go up and down the field. They didn't do that though. They did not do that. Cam Akers he's a pretty damn good player, right? He had a pretty damn good game, but after the first quarter, his effectiveness went down. Everybody else's effectiveness went down. So I think the Chargers really did a good job. They did a very, very good job this week. They were prepared. They were ready to play. They were looking forward to coming out to playing. And if this week was any indication of how the rest of the season is going to go, the rest of the postseason run and all of that stuff, they're going to take this week of preparation just as serious as they did, this past week. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see what they do. I'm excited to see how this team comes together, for a playoff run. But I mean, you really can't say enough about the job that they did today. This was a very, very, very good game from start to finish, and I'm enjoying what I'm seeing from the Chargers now. Finally, at a place where I'm enjoying what I'm seeing from the Chargers. It's the season is here. That it's never too late, to turn it around. So I can say that I am enjoying what I'm seeing from them at this point right now. I really hadn't, for most of the season, but we're at a point now where I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying this, and as fans, I know we're having a good time watching this. So yes, this is a very, very, very good position the Chargers are in. Follow your channel for a couple of weeks now, and your analysis is A1. So thank you, Sam. Really appreciate it. Really, really appreciate it. Sorry, I didn't post really anything this whole week. Been sick. I posted something in the community tab the other day. Me and the family been sick, but we're getting over it now. So now we are we're on the other side of it. So I'm gonna be posting a lot today. I mean this week as we go forward. So yeah, I wanted to get to as many comments as I could. Mike was going crazy today. Yes, he was. And Mike Williams too. If you look at him this week based off of like the Miami game or even the Tennessee game, he's got some more bounce in his step. He looks to be 100% healthy. And the way that they used him today, genius. You have to have a big body guy like Mike Williams in the middle of the field, especially if teams are playing zone, they're playing soft zone. Mike Williams has to attack the middle of the field. And those plays, those zone reads that Herbert has, in the middle of the field, you put Mike Williams there, those plays go for more yards than any other team, right? It's not just throwing to a guy, in the soft zone. Like those went for big plays. Those went for 15, 30 yards. Herbert has an arm, right? He can get it there very, very quickly. And then Mike Williams is great after the catch. He's a big dude. He will run over safeties. He did it to Taylor Rapp several times today. So those are very, very big plays, and those are easy plays too, especially if teams come out playing that lazy zone. If they're not switching up the coverage, if they're not making Herbert work hard, if they're not making him really process information, that's gonna be there, right? Keenan is normally the guy who catches a lot of those, but when you put Mike in that spot, Mike is a little more dangerous than Keenan is. He's not the route runner that Keenan is, but when he does get open and when he catches the ball, that's a big guy coming at you. Mike Williams is like 6'4". I think they list him at like 218, and there's no way he's I'm 6'1", 218. There's Mike Williams is way bigger than me. Mike Williams has to be at least like 230. He's got to be at least 230. He's a big ass country boy. There's no way that he weighs the same amount that I do. There's not a chance. So when you get him the ball and he's catching it with a full head of steam, 6'4", 230 coming at you very fast, a lot of people are going to get out the way or going to get ran over. So that's something I think they need to take that going forward in the playoffs. Mike Williams working the middle of the field. That's something that really a lot of defenses haven't seen all year. Obviously, Mike has been injured in and out the lineup all year, but he primarily works, the sidelines, and you seen the sideline catch he made, the one-handed catch. But when Mike works the middle of the field, this offense becomes different. It becomes different because linebackers cannot keep up with him, and nickelbacks, right? If a nickel dime back, whoever it is, they can't. They're too small. They're too small. They're not going to be able to body him up. You can't press him off the line of scrimmage. He's too big. He's too strong. And even with safeties too, like you're going to have to make a business decision. Do you want to come and try to square up Mike Williams? Because he can hurt you. He can hurt you if you come up and decide to square him up. He can really hurt you. So him working the middle of the field, I think, was a big thing today. That was something that I really haven't seen all season long. I think the Chargers they tried to get a little bit of that going in the Tennessee game, if I recall, but it didn't work out that well. Pass protection didn't work out that well, but pass protection was good today. So they allowed a lot of the receivers to get downfield. Herbert had a good game, efficient, 21 of 28, I believe, right? 21 of 28 for 21 of 28, 212 yards and 2 touchdowns, and 10.1 yards. 10.1 yards per reception. So that's a pretty good for the offense that we run. That's a pretty good average for what Herbert had. Normally it's like in the 7 or 8. So if he can get that, and 28 passes too. Only 28 passes. Herbert's been over 40 something attempts all season long. Only 28 today. That's where he need to be. Didn't play the whole fourth quarter. So that's where the Chargers need to be. It was a very good performance, and Mike Williams did go crazy, and they need to continue using him in the middle of the field. That looked like a playoff team. That's what I was looking for today, and they showed up. Yes, they did. It looked like a playoff team, and they look like they are confident. It looks like their confidence has, finally reached a point where they are like, we're one of the best teams in the league. Like, let's just go out and ball, and that's what they're doing. And I think sometimes they get to, especially during the middle of the season, there was too much. I think there's too much thinking going on. Just go out and play. You have one of the best rosters in the league. Go out and play. Even with the injuries, the Chargers still have top to bottom one of the best rosters in the league, so they can go out and pretty much compete with anybody. There's no juggernauts in this NFL right now, right? Even the Bills, the Chiefs, none of them they're beatable. Those teams are beatable. We've seen teams go out to where they play and beat them. So those are beatable teams. And the Chargers, they have more than enough to beat any of those teams. So they look like they are believing in themselves now, finally. And it's good to see. Really good to see. The Charger will vote to get the win. Let's go Chargers. Yep. Mike Dub catches were insane. Yeah, no, he can catch it with the best of them. He can catch it with the best of them. And there's really, it's a reason why he didn't even really take any other calls in free agency. He wanted to come back to the Chargers. That was his first, second, and third option, I believe he said. He wanted to come back and play with Justin Herbert for obvious reasons, right? He's making $20 million a year, and he gets to play with Herbert, right? He gets to have his cake and eat it too. He gets to make catches like that. And again, when you use a guy like that in the middle of the field, to go along with what he does on the sidelines, he works the sidelines as well as any receiver in the league does. But when he's in the middle of the field, man, it's something special, and it can really unlock another level of this offense. And I think we're going to see a lot more of that going forward. Let's see. Um, the Ravens will go 0-2. Chargers get a home game. Excuse me. I don't think so. I mean, the 5 seed is there. It's there, but we'll see. We'll see. Lamar Jackson is not. Again, he's not going to play today, and if he does play next week, he's not going to be healthy. His knee injury is what I've heard. The stuff that I've been reading the past couple of days. His knee injury is a lot more serious than what the Ravens are giving on. So I don't know. I think you're gonna have to wait and see. And I actually seen something else that even if the Ravens get to the playoffs, his status is still unknown. So if you know that a guy is not going to be able to play in the playoff game, or possibly won't be able to play in a playoff game, there's no telling what's going to go on. And then there's an added layer to this too because he doesn't have a contract, and a lot of people make it seem like it's the Ravens' fault. But let me tell you this. Let me tell you guys this, and I'm gonna get on my soapbox here a little bit. Don't buy into all of these people who are like talking about Lamar Jackson and saying it's a racial thing and blah blah blah, and they don't want to give him money because of how he looks or how he is and all of this stuff. That's not what goes on in business. That's not how the NFL is a business. It is a business. Lamar Jackson doesn't have an agent. Lamar Jackson's agent, his quote unquote agent, is his mother. That so how is his mother supposed to have contract negotiations, productive contract negotiations with a multi-billion-dollar NFL franchise? How is his mother supposed to do that? Nobody's mother can have a productive conversation like that. So the reason why Lamar Jackson doesn't have a contract is because of his own doing. He never hired an agent. Now, his whole point of contention with the Ravens is that he wants as much money as Deshaun Watson, and the Ravens are telling him that nobody else is going to get Deshaun Watson money. Deshaun Watson is an outlier. All of the owners have came together to basically collude and say we're not giving out any more money like that. What the what's his name, Jimmy Haslam for the Browns, right? What he did for Deshaun Watson, nobody else is going to do because they don't want to set a precedent where everybody is making guaranteed money, right? They don't want that. They don't want that going on. They don't want guaranteed money. They don't want guys who are injured getting paid, guaranteed dollars until they retire, right? They don't want to make this like the NBA. They don't want to make it like the NFL. I mean, like the MLB. That's what's going on with Lamar Jackson. But Lamar Jackson don't have a contract because of Lamar Jackson. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. You cannot come into business, into big billion-dollar businesses, and think you're going to reinvent this is being done. That's not how things work. Lamar Jackson needs to hire an agent. I don't expect to see Lamar Jackson anymore this year. So, yes, the Ravens could go 0-2. The Chargers could take that number 5 spot. But it depends on tomorrow as well, too. Buffalo and Cincinnati plays. If Cincinnati loses, I think they take the 5 spot. I don't know. It can get convoluted, but there's a chance that the Chargers could get the 5 spot. I wouldn't bank on it. I wouldn't, put any money down on it, but there is an opportunity for them to get it. But either way, it doesn't matter what seed that they're in. This team is hot right now. They're hot. They're hot as fish grease, and I expect them to make a lot of noise in the playoffs. Let's see. Somebody said Lombardi on fire. This was one of his best games. This was one of his best games this season, all season long. There really wasn't anything questionable that he was calling. He was calling things that had the Rams defense a little off guard, and that's not normally what you see from Lombardi. So you have to give him credit. The Rams, they obviously have a lot of injuries, but defensively, they're still pretty good in their defensive backfield. Up front, they still got Bobby Wagner. He's still a veteran. They have most of their guys on defense, right, except for Aaron Donald and who else? I think Aaron Donald was like the major injury that they've had on defense, but they have most of their guys. A lot of vets on defense. They have a veteran defensive coordinator as well too. So this was a pretty good performance. Like this was nothing to spit at. They did a good job. Lombardi did a good job. Offense did what they needed to do. But yeah, this is what needs to go on for the remainder of the season, obviously. Excuse me. Let's see. When's the last time we could pull our starters with 10 plus minutes left to go in the game? Right. I in the Brandon Staley era, I don't think ever. I think this is the first time that this has happened. Even in loss when the Chargers should have pulled players, they didn't. Right. The loss to Jacksonville earlier this year, week 3, they didn't pull nobody. They should have pulled everybody. They didn't pull anybody. But this is the first time I can. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe somebody can correct me in the comments. But this is the first time I remember the Chargers being able to pull people. Being up by so many points. So this is a good sign. This is what you're supposed to do when you're a good team. You're supposed to go out there and handle business, and be able to rest players when you need to. Um, this is the expectation and energy us fans were looking for since the beginning of the season. 100%. We had so much hype coming into the season. So much hype. We were signing guys left and right. There was a lot of hype going around us. There was a lot of bets put on the Chargers as far as the Super Bowl went and all of this stuff. This is what we were looking for, and this team, this iteration of this team, this is what we were looking for all season long. Things didn't start off well. Obviously, they hit a very, very excuse me, they hit a major low during the beginning of the season. All the way pretty much towards the middle of the season, but they turned it around. You have to give Brandon Staley credit. He turned it around. And they've played well. They've played well so far, and I am, excuse me. I'm very happy that they are looking this way. I'm very happy they're hitting their stride going into the playoffs. Each season is different, man. Each season is different. You have to look at some of the teams going into the playoffs, how they kind of peaked at different points in the season. The Chargers are peaking literally at the last point of the regular season. They're peaking going right into the playoffs, literally going into the playoffs. So if you're going to peak, this is the best time to peak as a team, because everybody else's peak has pretty much come and gone. Kansas City, they've peaked early. It's come and gone. Buffalo, they've peaked early. It's come and gone. Cincinnati, they are peaking depending on what happens tomorrow night. You can say they've peaked at a pretty good time too, but the Chargers are peaking at a perfect time. There's only one game left before the playoffs start, so this is a perfect time for this turnaround. So very, very happy with this. Excuse me. Did Fahoko not play today? Don't see his name on the box scores. He did play. His snaps were limited though. Maybe he has some type of injury. I noticed that he did not play as much. They had number 50 in the game. I can't remember what his name was. But yeah, maybe he had some type of injury. Maybe we'll see. Maybe we'll see what was going on with him going forward. Maybe in the post game press conference, maybe throughout the week. But yeah, I didn't see him on the field that much. I seen him a few times, but that was it. Mike Williams is diet Calvin Johnson. Yeah, I mean, he's not as big as Calvin. He's not as tall as Calvin Johnson, but he has a lot of the catch and run stuff that Calvin Johnson has, but they don't obviously use him like Calvin Johnson. But he has some of the characteristics, but he's a very, very, very good player. Very, very, very good player. Mike in the middle of the field is beautiful. Yes. And it's also going to help. When you lose your speed threat, you have to take advantage of what the defense gives you. And when you lose a speed threat like Jalen Guyton, the guy who can break the defense, right, take the top off, teams are going to come down. They're going to try to be aggressive at the line of scrimmage, and they're going to play some zone, right? They're going to play a lot of zone coverage. They are going to keep their linebackers in the middle of the field. There's going to be holes in the middle of the field. And if you have a guy like Mike Williams in the middle of the field, big catch radius, big player, right? Just a big guy in general, have him in the middle of the field, Herbert throwing darts to him, it really can change this offense, right? It can open things up in the run game. It can open things up down the sidelines, even for Mike Williams or, Keenan Allen, whoever. Like, it can open things up for a lot of players, and it can open up another level of this offense. You have to have him in the middle of the field. That was something, I think his injury, I think it hurt us the most, not having him in crucial situations, right? Third downs, even some fourth downs that the Chargers decide to go on. Having that guy, because Mike Williams really cannot be covered one-on-one. He can't be covered one-on-one in man coverage. I know Herbert is very careful with the ball. I know he's careful with his placement, but he cannot be covered one-on-one. Mike Williams is huge, right? Having a guy 5'10", 190 trying to guard Mike Williams one-on-one, it's not going to work out for you. We've seen it in week 2 against the Chiefs. Mike Williams was unguardable. He had 6 catches for 150 and a couple of touchdowns. He was on. That can happen. That can happen when you have Mike Williams. But I think his injury, Keenan Allen's injury, not being on the field together, not being able to build the chemistry, the continuity going forward, it affected us all season long. But these guys, they've been back. They've been healthy now for the past, I believe, what's it been, 4 weeks now, having both of them back, Allen and Williams. So going forward, man, I expect some big things from us. I really expect some big, really, really big things from us. Michael Davis. Yeah, Michael Davis has easily been the biggest game changer during this streak. 100%. He's played extremely, extremely well. Excuse me. Yeah, he's been a game changer. I'm glad we have him too. I'm honestly really glad we have him after the J.C. Jackson injury. Man, where would we have been without Mike Davis? Seriously. Excuse me. Oh man. Damn. Oh, that COVID be taking away your voice and shit. Oh man, I hate it. I hate it. I'm still here though. Let's see. Mike Williams, aka Mr. 60-40, because it ain't no 50-50. 100%. Especially when you throw it up to him. He's definitely a guy that it's probably 70-30. If it's a good ball and he's one-on-one, it's 70-30. 70-30. Nobody's jumping as high as him. And if you want to stop him, you're gonna have to pretty much, interfere. You're gonna have to get a PI to stop him. There's no way you're covering him one-on-one, especially in a jump ball situation. Not at all. Excuse me. Lombardi started getting conservative with 2 uncreative runs, and the football gods punished us with the Pipkins injury. The guy turned it around though, during the Pargon. The Pargon? What? During the Pargon. I don't know what that is. But yeah, look, I mean, Lombardi can get, he gets into his little modes where he can get very uncreative, right? And call something random, something that doesn't work. But I think, I think this is going to stay, because even when you look at some of the play calls, right? All of the stuff that he was calling early in the season, he didn't call none of that today, really. The nonsense with DeAndre Carter behind the line of scrimmage, none of that today. None of the reverses, none of the, swing passes behind the line of scrimmage, none of that. All of that was gone. So that, if you completely just take that out of the playbook, right, going forward, even if you're going to call that type of stuff, call it with Mike Williams. I seen they threw it to Mike Williams. I think I want to say it was twice. I know I've seen it one time, at least for sure. They threw it to him behind the line of scrimmage, and he ended up gaining 6 yards just because he is that big, right? He's the guy that, if you're going to throw the ball behind the line of scrimmage, throw it to Mike Williams, right? Because he's big, and once he does get going, he is pretty fast. He can outrun some people. But even if that doesn't happen, he's big. He's going to pick up 4 to 5 yards just by how big he is. So if you're going to throw it to anybody like that, throw it to him. So I think a lot of those really questionable play calls, I didn't see that today. And that was a very, very, very good sign. Very good sign. If we keep all of that out, all of the offense all together, I think this is going to be a very, very good offense going forward, honestly. And, if he doesn't do anything crazy, if he doesn't call anything crazy, I think this is going to be an offense that can at least put pressure on defenses, right? That at least can kind of scare defenses, that can at least make defenses play honestly and not do the stuff that they were, doing earlier in the season, right? Have everybody come up and run stick routes and then have everybody, pretty much double covered or bracketed. If you get defenses out of doing that, you're going to be fine going forward. And I think they did a good enough job of it today. Let's see. Lamar is probably done in a few seasons. He'll be a solid backup. Yeah. Yeah. I don't think, he did not play his hand very smartly at all. He should be locked up to a contract. Obviously, something similar to Kyler Murray, but more guaranteed money, more total money. But he did not play his hand very well. There's no way he's getting 200 million guaranteed after a bad knee injury. So no chance, no chance at all. Um, I've seen this. Let's if Slater comes back, we're in business. Yes. Yes. I agree. I agree 100%. I agree 100%. Um, Slater is one of the best left tackles in the league. We're going to be able to run the ball on the left side of the line as well too. Man, I can just imagine. I hope he does. I really do. I really hope he does. Um, my wife says, "Let's get the likes up, guys, please and thanks." Thank you, babe. Uh, let's see. I don't think we ever did under the. I don't think we ever did it under the Lynn era either. Yeah, I don't think we ever pulled players. No, we haven't. We have not. Um, it's hey, first time for everything, right? I'm glad that it happened right now. Let me get to the super chat, Ricardo. Thank you, thank you. I'm glad that we're starting to look like a playoff caliber team. Hey man, I enjoy your channel and your input. Keep up the good work. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for the support. I appreciate everybody that supports us, man. I really appreciate everybody. I can't thank you guys enough. Really can't. Let's see. 50 was more came from New York. It looks like Vita Vea. Yes, he does look like Vita Vea. Yeah. I can't remember what his name was. I wanted to call him Vita Vea too, but yeah, he played most of the snaps. I don't know for Hoko though. I don't. We have to see if he's injured. I hope that he's not, but maybe it was just rest. I hope it was just rest, but yeah, number 50 was in the game a lot, a lot. Happy to see Herbert get 2 touchdowns today, along with Eckler's 2 touchdowns. Yes, and the touchdowns too. The type of touchdowns that they were too, that Herbert had. Obviously, the big one to Everett in the middle of that soft zone, but also getting Parham too. That's what I wanted to say. That's what I called for last week. Getting Parham involved in the red zone. They got him involved in the red zone. Got a touchdown. That's what you have, that big old 6'8" guy. You use him in the red zone. And if you don't use him in the red zone, you're doing yourself a disservice. You have that big dude, big catch radius, right? He obviously has a basketball background, being that tall. He can jump. Get him the ball. You get him the ball in the red zone. He is the ultimate mismatch. So I'm glad they got him involved at the in the red zone. That's what the Chargers needed to do. Have play good situational football, right? Mike Williams, Donald Parham. I called for it last week, and both those guys got involved today. Big time. So, hey, this is where the Chargers are. They're starting to really you know, get into the mode, get into the habit of feeding your mismatch players the ball. Guys who can have mismatches. Mike Williams, I just talked about it. He can have a mismatch in the middle of the field against anybody. Donald Parham, automatic mismatch in the red zone against anybody, any team. They don't have anybody that's 6'5", 6'6" that can guard him. He is a automatic mismatch. You got to get those guys the ball. Got to get them the ball in situations that call for it, right? Obviously, you're not going to, I mean, if somebody's open, in while the Chargers are between the 20s, then yes, you get them the ball. But in the red zone, when it's time to score touchdowns, Mike Williams, Donald Parham, they can play a very, very, very big factor in a playoff game, right? On the road, those guys in, the end zone, right? Jump balls, whatever, they can change the course of a game just targeting them. So I think, but again, Lombardi, he had a good game today. He had a really good game. You have to give him credit. Just hoping that this continues, really hoping that it continues. He hasn't built up enough credit with me. He hasn't built up, excuse me. He hasn't built up enough leverage with me for me to say that this is going to continue. I hope that it does, but he's on a week by week prove it basis. I think with all us fans. So yeah, excuse me. And I seen this one right here. I don't think he called one stick play. Me either. I didn't see a stick play at all. And the way that the Rams were playing defense, a stick play would have played into their hands. They were playing soft zone coverage. You got to send guys up the gut. You got to get them downfield a little bit, right? There has to be an intermediate routes when you play defenses who give up yards, right? When they play that lazy soft zone, when the linebackers, they drop too far or when they get too wide, you can send somebody right up the middle of the field. It's easy gain, 12 to 15 yards. If it's Mike Williams, he breaks the tackle, hey, it's 20, 30 yards at that point, right? So the way that they were playing, stick routes would have played into their hands, and give Joe Lombardi credit. He didn't call that many stick routes, if any. So, they did what they had to do offensively, and hopefully this continues. Hopefully it will. Um, I think Lamar will be used as a prime example of what not to do. No, you're right. You are 100% right, man. You're 100% right. This is when you're Lamar Jackson, you do not do business this way. Nobody cares if you're a former NFL MVP. They don't care. Teams don't care. You can't use that at the table when you're injured. You just can't. You were the former NFL MVP when you were 100% healthy. You're not healthy. You have a knee issue that is lingering, right? And we know with knee issues, right? Those are the things that take guys out. Those end guys' careers from all different positions. It doesn't matter quarterback, offensive line, receivers. That knee injuries are the number one killers of careers in the NFL. So when you're looking at it from that standpoint, you got to be smart and you got to get your money when you can, because you thinking that you're going to strong arm a team into giving you $250 million guaranteed, it's not going to happen. That doesn't happen in the NFL. It's never happened. Even Deshaun Watson didn't strong arm him. They came to him with that offer. The Browns came to him with that offer. Deshaun Watson was going to take whatever he can get because he was just coming off the court case, all of the massage and happy ending stuff. There's no way Deshaun Watson's contract demands were like, yeah, I want $230 million guaranteed. The Browns were just dumbasses and just said, hey, man, you take all this money and you take it all guaranteed. They came to him with that. So if Peyton Manning doesn't have a fully guaranteed deal, Tom Brady never had a fully guaranteed deal. Nobody ever had a fully guaranteed. All of these quarterbacks don't really have fully guaranteed deals. The fully guaranteed deals that you see are smaller amounts. Kirk Cousins a couple years ago, right? $85 million guaranteed. That's not going to break a franchise, right? That's not going to break, a team. Owners will pay that, but a quarter of $1 billion guaranteed. That's hard to come by in any industry, and it happens in the NBA, but the NBA is different. NBA is different. MLB is different. NFL is just the way that things are going right now with the CBA and all of that stuff, collective bargaining. You just cannot make that happen. The Deshaun Watson thing was an anomaly. I don't want to say it'll never happen again, but it'll be a while before we see a contract like Deshaun Watson ever again. I honestly, I really think that. Excuse me. Let's see. Wife's got your back. I was liking on my like. Yes, yeah, my wife got my back. Yes, she does. She's amazing. I love her. Let's see. I hope Lombardi can call games like this in the playoffs. I hope so too. But again, we're at a point where we're hoping now. So, like I said, he hasn't built up enough equity with everybody. So, it is, it is what it is, man. It is what it is, but I think it's a week-to-week basis. If we see this from him again next week, then we can get a little more excited. But hopefully, what I'm hoping is that Brandon Staley has a big part in game planning for the offense as well, too. I'm hoping that he's, sitting down having these meetings with Lombardi and going over plays that he thinks Lombardi should call and should, get into the game plan and not just leaving it all to Lombardi. Because I think when he's left to his own devices, we've seen what he does when he's left to his own devices. Stick. We've seen that. But I'm hoping that Brandon Staley has taken a more hands-on approach with the offense. I'm hoping that's what's going on with this. But only time will tell. We'll see what happens. Let's see. Watson's agent robbed the Browns. Yeah, he did. But the Browns were a willing victim, though. They were willing. They were just willing, and there was no reason for them to be. They have a pretty good team. They had Baker Mayfield there, obviously, but they felt like they could have got better at quarterback, and they they really jumped the gun. Like there's no other way to put it. They really overreacted. They could have gotten Deshaun Watson for, I would say, probably half of that amount. They gave him $230 million guaranteed. They could have got him for $150 guaranteed. They could have saved themselves $80 million or whatever. He was going to take whatever money was available. Nobody else was really, inquiring for him like that, I should say. Miami was for a little bit, but they were trying to play the PR game with Tua and all of this stuff. But I mean, he was going to take whatever money was available for him, right? He just wanted to play again. He wanted to be able to go out there and show everybody he can still play. They're the ones that said, "Hey, take all of the money that anybody's ever made, right? Take the most money in NFL history." They were the ones that did it. They're dummies, and obviously, the Browns are the Browns. That's what they do. Uh, to be fair, a lot of times you don't need to ask to get a happy. I, I mean, but I mean, you can't be a you can't be an NFL quarterback getting happy endings from random women. That's just not gonna play. Like you're a superstar in the NFL. You just can't. That's gonna hit the press. And even if nobody accused him of doing anything, that's still embarrassing, right? They're gonna be like, "Yo, super Pro Bowl, All Pro quarterback Deshaun Watson is getting happy endings." Like that's not something you want people to know about, right? So I mean, you got to be smarter than that. You have to be smarter than that. Deshaun Watson should have been smarter than that, but he let his horny take over. And that's the great downfall, right? All the greatest men, some of the greatest men in the world, their downfall has been horny. If you're too horny, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to, be embarrassed. You're going to, be in courtrooms, right? You're going to be getting sued and giving people money and all this stuff. Don't let your horny get the best of you. That would be my advice, right? From a 32-year-old man. That would be my advice to anybody who any guy who's doing something good. Don't let your horny get the best of you. If you do, then you're gonna be in positions like Deshaun Watson and Magic Johnson and all of these guys who, even the late great Kobe Bryant, right? He got caught up in the case. When you let your horny get the best of you as a man, you're gonna make mistakes, and obviously easier said than done. But some of the greatest men in the history of the world have their downfall has been their horny. Control your horny. That's my message to men here. The control your. I should make a shirt like that. Control your horny, because if not, you're gonna make mistakes. And if you're not famous, right, your mistakes are not gonna be blasted all over the paper. But if you are famous, or if you're somebody who is young and you go on to do like these great things, that stuff is going to get pulled back up, and people are going to litigate your past, right? The past decisions that you made when you were horny. You can be the greatest person on earth, but you've made a stupid decision when you were horny. Now the world is talking about it for years and years to come. So stay out of those situations. That Deshaun Watson should have been, he should not have been in that situation. But he was a guy, I think he grew up without a father and stuff. So situations like that are I don't want to say they're unavoidable, but the guys who don't have great guidance like that, they get into those types of situations. So hey, it is what it is, but he should not have been in that situation. He definitely should not have been in that situation to begin with, in my opinion. I missed the game today, but I'm happy with that W. It sounds like Joe didn't the Joe show didn't make an appearance. No, it did not. It did not. It was a pretty good outing, all things considered, for the Chargers. Uh, let's see. Josh Palmer has been quiet lately. The draft a receiver round 1, round 2 allegations are going to reemerge. No, I don't think this is the this is the Josh Palmer I expected us to see most of the season. He's had a good season because he needed to. Um, he was the only guy that's pretty much been healthy all season long. But I expected to see Josh Palmer flash, but I did not expect him to have a super great statistical year. Just because I didn't think that Mike and Keenan were going to get hurt. I thought those guys were going to have a similar season that they did in 2021. Obviously, that hasn't happened, but I think with those guys coming back, Mike and Keenan are 100% healthy now. So when they're going well, when they're getting open, they're going to have most of the targets. You see Gerald Everett, when he is motivated, he gets open, right? He can get open. He's going to get a lot of targets. Austin Eckler, a lot of targets out of the backfield. That leaves a very finite amount of targets for Josh Palmer. So I think that's why you see you didn't really see him have that much of an impact this week or even last week as well. But you can't really put stats. You can't judge him off of stats at this point right now with everybody healthy. I expect him to be good on some third downs, right? Be able to make some big plays, maybe down the field. I expect him to block really well, as a wide receiver in the run game. Those are the things I expect from Josh Palmer. Right now, when everybody's healthy, there's just not enough balls. There's not enough targets to go around for him to make that big of a significant impact on the statistical end. But he's been he's been good though. He's been very, very good for us. Just got home from the game, was a great time. Dominant win. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That was a great win. It looked like it was a great crowd there too. A lot of Charger fans. It was loud. It was loud. The media can't talk about the Chargers not having any fans anymore. That shit should be done. I don't want to hear that ever, ever again. The Charger fans have been there these past 6, 7, pretty much all season long. Like there hasn't really been a takeover. It hasn't been like a take. Oh, these fans are coming to take over SoFi. There hasn't really been a takeover. Even the Raider game, week 1, the Charger fans were just as loud, maybe even louder than the Raider fans were. So this whole narrative about the Chargers not having fans, that shit should go away. It should die. It's dead. It's dead. Come on. Come on. Let's see. Didn't need Palmer much. I think he's a little beat up. Yeah. And he's been injured all season long. He's been in and out the game all season long. In and out of the lineup, I should say, all season long. But yeah, he's a little injured. Yeah, and they are letting him rest, and they should let him heal. We should have him 100% for the playoffs. Let's see. Great analysis as usual, unscripted and impromptu. Hope you feel better. Thank you, man. Thank you. I appreciate it. Appreciate it, man. We've been struggling all week long, but we are getting better. So that's why I felt like we should, I should come on here and do a post game live stream. I do feel good enough to do that. Carlos says best Charger game all season long. I agree. Definitely agree. How do you think we should approach next week? Do you think we should arrest some starters before the playoffs, considering the Broncos and how they've been this season? I think the Chargers should go into the game playing everybody. Now, depending on how the game turns out at halftime, I think Staley should make a decision. I do think it's important for them to go out and play good football, though, at least in the first half. At least in the first half, because if you play a good game in the first half, the Broncos are going to shut it down. They're going to go home. They're going to shut it down, and they're going to be thinking about vacation because they already are. They already are. They pretty much had their last hurrah today against the Chiefs. They kind of put it together, and they put together one of their best performances of the season so far. They got up on the Chiefs. I think they got up on them like a touchdown. It was pretty late in the third quarter too. The Chiefs ended up coming back, getting up by like 14, but they came back. The Broncos kept coming back. They scored another touchdown, and they made it a very close game. They ended up winning by the Chiefs ended up winning by 3 points. It was 27-24. So it was a pretty good game by Denver, but I think they put all of their, I think they put all of their marbles towards the middle and said, let's just go out here. This is our last road game. Let's give it all we got. And I think they gave it all they got. I think we see a different Denver team next week. I think, with them obviously going through a lot of changes, they've already fired their coach. They're going to have, a lot of decisions to make going forward. The Russell Wilson contract and all that stuff is going to kick in, and they're going to have a lot of decisions to make. They're not going to be able to re-sign a lot of guys. Some of their free agents, they're going to have to start planning for the future. And Russell's huge cap hit that he's going to have in 2024? He's going to have like a $50 million cap hit or something like that. Something ridiculous. So they're not going to be able to sign guys. They're not going to be able to offer guys multi-year contracts. And I think you're going to see a lot of turnover. They're going to probably, I think they make some trades and get some draft picks. I think they start trying to build a younger team going forward. So I think a lot of guys know that they are not going to be Denver Broncos going forward. Your Jerry Jeudy's, KJ Hamler's, even some of the guys on the defense. I think the only guy that's safe there as of right now is Surtain. Patrick Surtain. That's the only guy they know they want to move forward with. Everybody else is kind of a question mark. So are they motivated to play the Chargers next week? And if they are motivated, how much does that motivation take a hit if they're down 17-0 at halftime? Right? So I think Staley has a decision to make at halftime, depending on how the game is going. If the Chargers go up 17-0 and this thing doesn't look like it's going to get out of hand or whatever, then yes, maybe you put Chase Daniel in, maybe you rest guys going into the playoffs. But I think you have to go out and you have to execute at least for a half, right? Defense on point, offense on point, at least for a half. Then at halftime, Staley makes a decision. Let's get guys rested, right? Let's make sure Joey Bosa is good. Let's make sure Derwin James is good. Let's make sure all of our heavy hitters are good going into the playoff game. Let's not have any injuries. Let's not have any setbacks. I think if he does that, then I think then they can accomplish both things. Play good football and then still rest guys with the eye towards the playoffs. But they got to start the game off well. They got to go out there and play well first in order for that to happen. I think if they play well, then they can make a decision. But if there's any lack or if they're lackadaisical in their approach or whatever, then I think you see most of the starters out there because the Chargers are going to try to win this game because the fifth seed is still going to be in play. And if it's in play next week, the Chargers are going to have to win that game. So I think if it gets to a point where Staley believes that the game is, not out of reach and the Chargers can still win the game, then I think you see, some of the backups and stuff go in. But they're gonna have to play well. Fifth seed is going to be in play, so they're gonna have to play well. They're gonna have to win the game, and they're gonna have to show something, right? They can't just go in and mail it in next week and say, oh, we're going to take this week off and get ready for the playoff game. I don't think you can do that. They're going to have to keep momentum in preparation, keep momentum in everything that they do. So I expect them to go in and play well next week, but depending on if they play the whole game is going to excuse me. Yeah. It's going to determine whether or not the starters play all four quarters, depending on how the game goes, so that's how it is. Let's see. Great to see Parham get that touchdown after that incident last week. Yeah, he can be a huge weapon in the postseason. He can definitely be a huge weapon. And if the Chargers use him the way New England, the way Tampa Bay used Gronk in that manner, being a guy, who can block in heavy packages, a guy that can, run the post corner routes in the red zone, and a guy who can, you can put out flank out to either side and throw him the ball, jump ball situation. If the Chargers used him like Gronk, he can be a very, very, very big weapon, very, very big weapon in the postseason. But I'm happy that he got that touchdown, and I'm happy they're getting him back into the swing of things. I'm happy they're involving him back in the offense. I'm extremely excited to see what he can do. I think he has a lot to offer. Definitely think he has a lot to offer. Mike Williams is undoubtedly the best physical receiver in the league now. Yes, he is. When he's going well, when he's healthy, he's physical. He's physical at the point of attack. He's physical catching the ball, and he's physical after the run. He's physical at every facet of the game, every phase, right? Running the routes, he's physical. Catching it after the catch, he's physical. And there's nothing you can do to stop him, right? You just have to hope that your pass rush can get there so Herbert doesn't find him. But if you don't get home on Herbert, then you're gonna have your hands full trying to deal with that big receiver getting downfield. So yes, I do. I think that Mike Williams is the most physical receiver in the league. Yes, 100%. Level Mike lowers his shoulders into DBs. Yes, that's setting the tone, setting that physical presence. I love it. Yeah, I agree with Ben. In fact, I think Parham should be the focus every red zone. 100%. 100%. You cannot teach size like that. You cannot teach 6'8". You can't teach it. You just can't. Yeah, and he's 6'8" without pads, 6'10" in full uniform. Exactly. And there's nothing that you can do about it. You can't teach that. You cannot teach that. He's some of these DBs that he would, be going up against in the red zone, he's a full foot taller than. And it doesn't matter if you can jump out the gym. All you got to do is throw it up. If the ball is within his catch radius, there's nothing you can do. All he's got to do is get his feet down. It's a touchdown. Nothing you can do. All you can do is interfere. That's the only thing you can do to stop it. So yeah, he can definitely be a huge factor in the red zone. And I think Lombardi can redeem his name. He can redeem his name if he understands that. And if he incorporates Parham in every single red zone package. If he makes that happen, he can redeem himself because Once the Chargers get into the red zone, that becomes hard to stop. You see what happened with Gronk. Don't have how many rings does Gronk have? 4. He don't have those for no reason. He's the big reason why that he has a lot of those rings. He is the big reason why, right? Outside of Tom Brady, he is the big reason why he has so many rings, because so many times in a playoff game, right? You get so many finite opportunities to score in the red zone, right? If you have a weapon like that who's unstoppable in the red zone, you're going to score a lot. You're going to put up a lot of points on the board. You're going to put up a lot of touchdowns. And in playoff games, right, a touchdown to a field goal most of the time is what wins those games, right? Those games end up in close scores, right? The team wins by 3 or 4 points. And it's because most of the time, the team that wins scored a touchdown where the team who lost didn't score a touchdown. They kicked the field goal in the second quarter, third quarter, whatever, right? That's normally what it comes down to, is the losing team wasn't able to match a touchdown. And if you have a weapon like Gronk, or if you have a weapon like Parham, it can mean so much. It can mean so much in the red zone, and it can mean you capitalizing your red zone appearances, because you're not going to get a lot in the playoffs, right? You don't expect to get a lot in the playoffs. But if you're able to capitalize on them, right, and you're able to stay away from the field goals, that means you are one step ahead. So, yes, they should be incorporating him. Every red zone opportunity the Chargers have, Donald Parham should be out on the field if he's healthy. I 100% agree with you. Parham is an apartment building out there. 100%. 100%. Optimus Ryan. Friendly reminder that the guard center guard runs start work today. Yes. And I said this what? How long ago did I do that? That was maybe what, 6 weeks ago, when I pointed it out. Guard center guard runs, when they stop the outside zone runs, or trying to run off tackle. Now they can do that if Slater comes back, right? They can obviously run off tackle. You want to run behind him, but when you run to the inside, right? When Zion Johnson, when you give him a chance, to fly off the ball, move people out the way, that's when he's at his best. That is when he's at his best. 100%. He's at his best when he's in the run game. Zion Johnson played well today. Matt Filer also played well today as well, too. And obviously, Corey Linsley, he's been one of the best centers in the league, right? Since he's been in the league. So you don't really have to worry about 63. But guard, center, guard, when you're able to be aggressive from the start, and that's what the Chargers did. They ran the ball from the start. Filer was able to get into a physical mindset. So was Zion Johnson. They were moving people off the ball. And this Rams defense is not bad. They're not a bad defense. They're not the worst defense in the league. They're far from it. They're obviously missing Aaron Donald. You know, one of the best players to ever play in the NFL. Obviously, you're missing him, but this is still a formidable defense. So they're not just going to go out there and let people walk all over them. You know, you're going to have to play well to beat them, and the Chargers did. They played well enough to beat them, and I think that's the strength of this team going forward. Guard, center, guard. Run it up the middle until Rashawn Slater comes back. Then you're going to be able to run off left tackle, right? You can put that guy in motion, let him move people out the way. We know he can do that very, very well. So guard, center, guard. And then if Slater does come back for the playoff game, that's going to open up a whole new level to the run game. And I expect to see a lot more power stuff too, a lot more power. I call for this after the Dolphin game when the Chargers ran power 3 times that game, and they ran for 60 yards. And the Chargers, they were able to run for 192 today because they ran a lot of power stuff. Josh Kelly ran a lot of power stuff, got a lot of good yards. You see the big run with Austin Eckler. Chargers did a lot of good stuff in the run game today. I expect to see more of that in the playoffs. You're going to need it. Definitely going to need it. I still miss Xander Horvath and the fullback led blocking. Yeah. No, when he comes back, I expect to see more of that. I obviously expect to see more of it. They were able to do it without him too. Lombardi got a little creative. I seen Everett in the backfield a few times as well too. But he pulled guards today, and I think that was a big thing. If you pull your guards, you let Zion get in front of people, let him get ahead of steam and move people out the way. Same thing with Matt Filer. Those are big guys. They don't even have to be that sound, right? They don't have to be technically sound. Just let them run into people and move them out the way. They do that just as well as any interior offensive lineman in the league. Zion Johnson and Matt Filer, when they get a full head of steam, they can run people over, and it looks impressive. So yes, it's it's going to work in the playoffs. If they continue to do it, if they continue to build it and continue to call it, it's going to work in the playoffs. I can't wait. I honestly can't wait to see it. Uh, Gronk bailed Brady out a lot. I don't know if you remember, but he had a catch against the Broncos in the playoffs in 2015 and almost won them the game. Parham can be like that. I do remember that. I do remember that. That's when I think it was that got called back, right? It was a penalty or something. But yeah, no, they almost got to the Super Bowl that year. I remember that. But that was the Peyton Manning, the Broncos team. That was the team that the team that won that Super Bowl. But I do remember that though. Yes, they were they the Patriots weren't all that great then, but Brady to Gronk in the fourth quarter, in crunch time, that's what you wanted to see, and that's what won the Patriots a lot of games. Donald Parham could be just like that. He is not as thick as Gronk is, but he's much more nimble than Gronk. I think he's faster in straight line speed. I think he has better agility, better quickness. But he's a big guy. He's huge. He's a huge target. And yeah, the Chargers need to give him the ball more in the end zone. He should have in the playoffs. He should have, depending on how many games they play, he should have at least four. I want to say he should have at least 4 touchdowns in the playoffs. That's what I want to see from him. Refs was missing holding calls on the Rams. Yeah, all game long. Yeah, they were holding a lot. 79. Havenstein was hugging Joey Bosa all day long. When Khalil Mack moved to his side, he was hugging him too. I seen him hold Van Noy a couple of times too. Yeah, he was holding a lot. I think they utilized Eckler in the run game more in the playoffs. He's been vocal about taking the load off him so he can stay healthy for the season. That would be great if they did that. It's one thing to say it, but I want to actually see them do it. I want to see them do it. If they can do it, if they can actually feature Eckler and Kelly, the run game in the playoffs, that's what I would love to see. I would love to see 35 carries between the two of those guys, because that would mean play action is going to hit like a mug if that happens. So I would love to see it. Love to see it. And yes, it's only going to make Herbert's job that much more easier. So yes, I would love to see it. Is it actually possible they have been hiding their playbook all year? I see somebody say that the other day. I thought it was funny, but if that if that is the case, man, I'll wear a shirt with Joe Lombardi's face on it. If that's the case, if they start pulling out stuff that nobody's seen all season long in the playoffs, I would wear a shirt with Joe. I would wear I love Joe Lombardi shirt. I would. I honestly would. Why are we running Parham? Why are we running Parham and Williams on vertical routes every damn play? Parham and Williams will draw so much safety attention. Yeah, they would open everything up in the inside the middle of the field. I hope they do. I hope they run a lot of that in the playoffs because that would definitely draw so much attention. Now you have one-on-one with Keenan. Now you have one-on-one with Austin Eckler at the backfield. If you want to, one-on-one with Josh Palmer. Yeah, it would take a lot of pressure off. Definitely. Seemed like another day in the office for a team that before this looked like they were anemic. Yes, it did. And yeah, that's what I said. Preparation. It showed me a lot this week. It showed me that they were really into what they were doing, and it showed me that they, took it serious. They took it serious, and they obviously, took this team serious, and they took this game serious, and now, they've put themselves in an even more advantageous position. That 5th seed is still going to be alive, so I'm looking for the Chargers to do some good things. Really. We got to figure out how Foster Sarr does false starts every play without being called. Yeah, I don't know. He I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't expect to see him next year. He's been very he's had his chance, but he's just not been good. He's not been good at all. He just hasn't. He really hasn't. I don't expect to see him next year. I hope not. At least I hope not. Joe Lombardi shirt, that's a good one. Regardless of whatever happens the rest of this season, do you think we will still try to get Sean Payton? At this point, no. I don't think, especially if they win next week, have 11 wins. I don't think you're gonna fire a coach. I just don't. I don't see it. I wouldn't agree with it either. You can't. That's why you have to play the whole entire 17 games, right? If things continue to snowball and the Chargers were struggling and no playoffs and all this stuff, then yes. But at this point right now, you can't. You cannot. You can't fire a coach like that who's got 11 wins. he's improved off of the win total last year. Chargers had 9 wins last year. They already got 10 this year. And the game next week is obviously winnable. So to improve your win total by 2 games and be fired after that and make the playoffs as well, I just don't see it. I honestly don't see it. I think an offensive coordinator change is coming. Barring anything crazy, barring the Chargers scoring 40 points a game in the playoffs, I think an offensive coordinator change could and should be coming, but I just don't. I don't see Andy Reid. Excuse me. I don't see Sean Payton coming to the Chargers. I think he's gonna have to wait another year or go somewhere else. I think those are his only 2 options at this point right now. Andy Reid has a whole playbook for the playoffs. Yeah, but I don't know. The Chiefs are not playing well right now. They don't really scare anybody like they used to. They don't have the speed like they used to. They're gonna miss Tyreek Hill in the playoffs. They really are. I think they've been fine in the regular season without him, but I think in the playoffs, that's when he has really, 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 shown how valuable he is. And not having that guy to save the day. If Mahomes has one bad game, there's no Tyreek Hill to save you, right? There's nobody who can catch the ball, catch a 5-7 yard route and take it 80 yards. There's no more of that. So it puts more pressure on Mahomes, puts more pressure on the Chiefs defense to be even better than what they are. So if you're looking at it from that standpoint, I don't know, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens when the playoffs come. Hey, I truly appreciate you, man. It seems like you're one of the few who actually does their research. Thank you for the content. Thank you for the support, Kelsey. Really, really appreciate it. I try to. I do my research. All of my opinions are based in research. I don't come on here and just pull things out of my ass. I don't really believe in that. I understand the whole being a fan thing, right? But when you're making videos for other people to consume, you have to come from like a more educated standpoint. Now, I believe that you can't just say, I feel this, I feel that, I feel this, I feel that. Let's do some research. Let's look some stuff up. Let's develop an opinion based in fact. And that's just what I try to do. I try to develop all my opinions based in facts, right? I feel this, I feel that. It's not about how I feel. It's about what's actually going on. So that's what I try to do. That's the approach that I take before I make all of these videos. It's I think it's the best way, and people respond. People respond to it. A lot of people seem to appreciate this approach. So I'm going to continue it. But thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate it. You want to get rid of Foster? His uncle Foster's got to be steady for Zion's future. No, man, he's gonna be out the league next year. Maybe somebody kicks the tires on him, but he hasn't been good. He hasn't been good at all. Mahomes looked kind of shaky today. He did, and those performances, you cannot have those in the playoffs. You can't have them in the playoffs. We've seen what he did last year. He had it didn't even take a full bad game for him to lose. It took one bad half. He shit the bed in the second half. AFC Championship game, they lost. He was bad. He was bad that whole entire half, and they lost. Even though they were up by 18 points, he was still bad with an 18-point lead, and that lost him the game. So if that will lose you a game with a Tyreek Hill, with Travis Kelce, with your full complement of weapons, right? How perfect does he have to be this year? Because he ain't gonna have no 18-point lead in the playoffs this year. I don't think so. I highly doubt that. They're not as good as they were last year. So it's gonna put more pressure on him to be good every single quarter that he plays, right? Every single half that he plays, he's got to be good. He can't, if he's just bad at all, I don't think the Chiefs are not good enough in other areas to cover up for that. Their defense isn't good enough. Their run game isn't good enough. They're not good in really any area. Special teams is not good enough. They're not good enough for that. They're Mahomes dependent, and if he's not playing well, they're probably not going to win. So that's their outlook for the playoffs, pretty much. So that's they got to be perfect. They got to be perfect in order for them to make noise. Same here. I don't think we're getting him. It would be a perfect world making the playoffs and still getting paid at the end of the year. Depends on what the Chargers do in the playoffs. I wouldn't want Sean Payton if we make a Super Bowl run. If we make a Super Bowl run, or even if we get to an AFC title game, I wouldn't want Sean Payton, right? I would want to build off of what Brandon Staley built, because if we get to an AFC title game after the year that we have had, all the injuries, all the bad play, if we're able to get there, that means we're one of the final 4 teams standing. And that would mean that Brandon Staley is a pretty damn good coach getting to a AFC title game, right? The Chargers haven't been to an AFC title game since '06, I believe, right? I believe it was '06 when we got there, and North Turner was the coach, I believe, right? So it's been a really, really long time. So if we're able to get to an AFC title game, I will say, man, hey, let's hold on to Staley and let's see what he has, because he's if he's the guy that can get us there, then we need to build with him. We need to build with him, and we can't, be too reactionary or too knee jerk in your approach, right? Make your coordinator changes, offense, defense, whatever, but hold on to Staley, because if he's able to get us there, then that would mean that he is a good coach. So, he's been showing his worth over these past 4 weeks. So I want to see what Brandon Staley's going to be able to do with playoff experience. I want to see that. I would be curious in seeing that. So he's won me back over now these past 4 weeks. So I want to see what he has. I want to see more of what he has. Kelsey says I'm a Staley believer. Yeah, you have to be at this point. You can't not be. There's been too many good. The Chargers are on a 5-game winning streak now, right? I believe. Is it 5? Is it 5 games now? I believe it's 5 games, right? 5. What are they? 10 and 5 or 4? Whatever. However long the winning streak has been, but defensively, they've gotten better every single time that they've played. They've held teams to under 20 points, right? Other teams are averaging 13 points a game now. Only give up 10 points to the Rams today. So again, he's been good. He's been good. I want to hold on to him. I want to see what he does. I want to see what he does with this team. I want to see what he does with this organization. It's still a work in progress, but I want to see what he does. He's been showing that he's capable so far. So let's give him some more time to continue building. If we play the Chiefs in the playoffs, I think we can win. The Broncos pass rush is nothing compared to us. We could. That would be a good matchup. We're familiar with them. They're familiar with us. It would be a good matchup. It would just be, at that point, it would come down to execution and mistakes, right? Turnovers and all of that type of stuff. If they played a clean game, I think we would beat the Chiefs. If we played a clean game and we're able to turn them over a few times, yeah, I believe that. That run defense still needs work, egregious gaps. Yes, it does. It does. Definitely. But they got better as the game progressed, though. Again, they gave up 84 yards in the first quarter, and the Rams only finished with 166 yards total. So they pretty much held the Rams to that total over the rest of the 3 quarters, right? 80 yards rushing over the next 3 quarters. That's not bad. That's pretty good. You're only giving up, 25, 30 yards per quarter in rush yards, right? And that's not going to kill you. Obviously, that's not going to kill you. So they got better as the game progressed. So yes, it's still a work in progress, but they did get better today, and that was a good sign. Definitely a good sign. Yes, but today was what Staley was trying to prove, that you can give up ridiculous run yards and blow a team out. I mean, a team like this, yes, but in the playoffs, that you can't give up a lot of rushing yards, and not only are you not going to blow a team out, you're not going to win. So yes, they have to get this. They have to get this together, because if the playoff opponent ends up being Cincinnati, if Cincinnati runs for 84 yards in the first quarter, the Chargers are going to have a hard time winning, because at that point, play action is going to be there, and the Bengals got the best group of receivers in the league, and when they have their run game and their pass game going, they're unstoppable, and that would not be a pretty matchup. So you have to get the run, got to get the run thing. It's got to get fixed. It's got to get fixed from the jump, because you cannot give up that many yards in the playoffs. This is against a non-playoff team. This is against a a Rams team without their quarterback and stuff. So, but in the playoffs, no, you can't do that, because you're going to allow whoever your opponent is to get their play action game going. And there's going to be nothing but good teams in the playoffs, good quarterbacks in the playoffs. You can't allow a team to get going on the run, on the ground first, then through the air, because those two things are almost mutually exclusive. You have a good team with a good quarterback, they get the run game going, they get the pass game going, the play action game going. Now you don't know, you can't defend anything. You can't stop nothing, because now the unpredictable nature of play calling comes in. You can't stop the run, so you can't stack the box, because that if you stack the box, then the play action is going to allow the receivers to get one-on-one. You don't want Chase one-on-one. You don't want Higgins one-on-one. You don't want those guys one-on-one. So you have to come in and stop the run game, stop that before it even starts. Because once you get to that level, then it's almost too late. But, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But, it is going to be something that the Chargers are going to have to pay close attention to when the playoffs start. What team would you prefer to face against them? I want the Ravens because the Ravens got a backup quarterback right now. They don't score a lot of points offensively. They play very sloppy games offense. They struggle to put up 17 points in a game. Defensively, they're not good. So I think the Chargers would have a very, very, very favorable matchup against the Ravens. I would love to play the Ravens in the playoffs if that were to happen. But, a lot needs to happen for that. I think the most likely matchup is Cincinnati. Chargers match up well against them too, but I think the Ravens would be a better matchup. The Chargers could win that game easily. For better or worse, the ceiling with Staley is the highest since Marty. I agree. 100%. 100%. I would say that it's a little higher because at some point Marty handcuffed the offense. They played Marty ball. He didn't want to throw the ball a lot. There were games where Phillip Rivers had like 20 attempts, like he was like 14 of 20 or 17 of 22, and Marty would be like, "Nah, we're just gonna run it. Let's hand it to LT. Let's have Lorenzo Neal go in and block, and we're just gonna run it for better or worse." Brandon Staley doesn't have that. He's a defensive coach, but he's not gonna hamstring the offense and make them run the ball 30 times like some defensive coaches do. He's gonna let the offense be who they are, right? And so that's why I think the ceiling is higher. He's not going to hamstring Justin Herbert the way Marty Schottenheimer hamstrung young Phillip Rivers, right? And, some of it was necessary, but a lot of it wasn't. Some of it was, but, I think Brandon Staley, his ceiling is high with this team. Especially if this continues, the ceiling is extremely, extremely, extremely high. Let's hope Trey is okay. Yeah, Foster Sarah would. Yeah, it would be a disaster. I hope Trey is going to be okay. I hope so. Let's pray that he's okay. He can take next week off if he needs to, but yeah, they need to get that right tackle position squared away. They need to rest Trey. He's been injured with the same injury all year long. Yeah, he's been thugging it out. Yep, get him ready for the play. Yeah, I don't expect to see him next week. Really don't. Really don't. Yeah, but we need Trey. We need Trey Pickens in there if we expect to have any success in the playoffs. Congrats to Eckler on breaking LT's franchise record on receptions. The disrespect from the league is real. Yeah, Eckler's been good. He's been good. He's been good all season long, and he's a touchdown menace. He's going to be a guy. His rushing yards and all that stuff. When postseason comes, none of that is going to matter. That guy is going to score touchdowns. As long as he doesn't fumble and as long as he keeps the ball off the ground, he's going to score touchdowns. And we've seen today he can break one. He can break one. If the blocking is there, if the play calling is there, he can break one. So he went 72 yards. So that was the longest run of his career too. So he can break some big runs. He obviously can catch the ball out of the backfield, and he's a touchdown scoring machine. So Eckler is going to be very, very, very important in the playoffs. No matter who we play, he's going to be important. So yeah. What positions would you draft rounds 1 and 2? I would definitely draft a tight. I would say a tight end maybe round 2. You don't need a tight end round 1. Tight end maybe round 2. Round 1. I think at this point right now, you probably have to go with the best player available. I think that's where the Chargers are at. They obviously need help in a lot of different areas, but they don't need like somebody to come in tomorrow and help, right? They need help, but they don't need somebody like right now. Like there's teams who need people right now, but the Chargers are not really in that position. I think it depends on what they want to do, free agency, who they decide to bring back. If they're not going to bring Kenneth Murray back, I would say maybe you get a linebacker. Maybe you get your future middle linebacker in the first round. You can also go with the safety too. You can also go with the safety who can cover Nasir Adderley spot. Somebody who can bring in good ball skills, right? Somebody who can be a deep cover, right? Cover 2, maybe cover 1 safety type of person. But I don't know. You just got to go with the best player available at this point right now, to be honest. So that's who I think the Chargers should go in, maybe first round, second round. But it has to be somebody who can make an impact right now. That's who I think. So yeah, it's got to be somebody making an impact right now. Let's see, guys. I've been on this for about an hour and 30 minutes now. I'm gonna go ahead and sign off right now. Thank you guys so much for rocking with me. I really appreciate it. And until next time, I'll be dropping more content this week. But yeah, got to go now. So you guys, and thank you for rocking with me, and have a good day.